Or when you walk into class late, and every one of your classmates is clapping, and you're like, why are you clapping? And Josh goes, everybody give it up for Professor Snape. He's our substitute teacher. He's here to teach us about potions. He's from Hogwarts. That's not funny.
Internet trolling. A magnificent pastime reserved only for the tippy-top upper class of internet users. Nothing tickles your funny bone quite like epically pranking emos, children and furries on the internet into literal suicide, generating infinite lols. But what exactly is lols? Where does it come from, and how does one obtain it and adopt it into his or her life? Let us start from the beginning. The term lols is a corruption of the widely recognized internet slang lol, but unlike it, lols is used specifically to refer to amusement derived from somebody else's pain and misfortune. As such, lols is the ultimate goal of trolling, the process through which such amusement is gained. In the New York Times article The Trolls Among Us, one such troll explains the process delightfully. You look for someone who is full of it, a real blowhard. Then you exploit their insecurities to get an insane amount of drama, laughs and lols. Rules would be simple. 1. Do whatever it takes to get lols. 2. Make sure the lols is widely distributed. This will allow for more lols to be made. And 3. The game is never over until all the lols have been had. And in such fashion, trollkind began to thrive, milking every lol cow in sight. From autistic folk, fandom members and internet whores to bigger organizations and groups who took themselves way too seriously. Nobody was safe from the wrath of the hacker known as 4chan. And all was well until the Normies attacked.
They call themselves anonymous. They are hackers on steroids, treating the web like a real-life video game.
Lulz is a corruption of LOL, which stands for laugh out loud. Anonymous gets big lulz from pulling random pranks.
Do we even know who is this 4chan person or website?
They're basically a very, very loose, amorphous collection of people all across the globe that frequent a website called 4chan. This was a website that was launched many years ago, which was a fan site for Japanese cartoons and anime, and has slowly evolved into sort of the dustbin of the internet, if you will. It's got everything from some subversives, very unpleasant pictures. It's basically where anything goes, and it seemed to be a magnet for people who like to cause trouble.
The nation of Norm was great in terms of numbers, and for a little while it seemed as if the army of the lols was at risk. But what's the worry? After all, the Normies lacked the skill and expertise of the seasoned internet troll. But the coverage of memes and internet drama by mainstream media outlets only heightened the flames of the war about to unfold, and boy, what a grand fight it was. Anonymous would do something epic like trolling an entire religion, and the Normies would respond by spreading mass panic and laying down the IRL banhammer upon unfortunate brothers and keyboards. It was a cruel conflict of ideals, with the anonymous trolls of the World Wide Web signifying the eternal trickster, the jester, the subverter of expectations, and the breaker of norms, pitted against the hordes of our cold, bitter, dark and sour society. But then, a new hero rises. In 2011, an anonymous affiliated hacker group known as LulzSec went on a hacking spree. Their lineup and capabilities were promising, and their sole motive? Lols, and lots of it. And thus, the revenge had begun. A legendary time for digital mayhem that would forever be remembered by the name 50 Days of Lols. The first strike commenced on May 5th and targeted the Fox Broadcasting Company. LulzSec combatants breached the walls of the television empire and leaked the personal information of contestants from that crappy talent show The X Factor. Then, they proceeded to leak Fox's sales database and the personal information of both users and employees, including allegedly altering the LinkedIn profiles of several employees. The second strike started on May 27th, against none other than international media and tech giant Sony. The army of Lulz breached and leaked the databases of Sony Pictures, Sony Music Japan, Sony BMG Netherlands, and Sony BMG Belgium. They claimed over 1 million accounts were compromised, along with personal information attached to them. But LulzSec wasn't done just yet. This was only the beginning. On May 29th, they launched a large-scale attack on PBS, compromising their official website and Twitter account. They managed to deface their website with this glorious piece of internet artwork, and maximized the trolling by uploading an article claiming the late rapper Tupac was still alive in New Zealand. After that, LulzSec started eyeballing the real big fish, but not before they hacked a porn site and leaked its database, discovering some of its users had email addresses associated with the Malaysian government, the United States military, and the administrators of other porn sites. Then they hacked Bethesda, took down the official websites of Minecraft, League of Legends, and various others before going to the big league. It started with InfraGard, a non-profit organization associated with the FBI. They leaked some of their database, then defaced their website. After that, they leaked emails and passwords from the United States Senate website. And on the 13th of June, they took down the motherfucking CIA with a denial of service attack. At this point, the nation of Norms' response to these attacks was to be expected. They hyped up LulzSec's digital mischief and vandalism to be these sophisticated, dangerous acts of cyber warfare, while in real life, LulzSec and its affiliates used the most textbook hacking methods imaginable, while acting mostly out of a desire for chaos and disruption, rather than out of actual criminal intent. Thus, the final stage of the attack began. LulzSec teamed up with Anonymous for this series of attacks, which they named Operation AntiSec, a campaign that lasted from June to September and striked all across the globe, with many smaller hacking groups joining in throughout. LulzSec kicked off the attacks by taking down the SOCA website. Then, the group went on to leak a ton of data from many targets, including the Arizona Department of Public Safety, AT&T, NATO, various online forums, and more. Needless to say, the Normies were absolutely shitting themselves. Meanwhile, Anonymous and its affiliates were doing God's trolling with brave acts such as hijacking a Fox News Twitter profile, then falsely tweeting out that Barack Obama had been assassinated. The operation truly exploded, as smaller hacking groups operating under the AntiSec banner were defying their corporate and government overlords all across the globe. Various high-profile entities were hacked and trolled in Turkey, the Philippines, Brazil, Italy, Tunisia, Portugal. AntiSec was truly a worldwide phenomenon. But not all was good and well. Many brave warriors were taken in by the pigs in response to these attacks. Most of the original LulzSec crew has been unmasked, and their leader Sabu ended up being a spineless snitch after his arrest. Every battle comes with sacrifice. It is up to us to honor the fallen, our brave martyrs in the quest for Lulz. Press F to pay respects, brothers. Press the goddamn F. Lulz never changes, or maybe it does. For some online trolls, Lulz is more than just a goal. It can be a life philosophy, a code of conduct, and a guiding force on the path towards the digital sunset. Hence the catchphrase, "I did it for the Lulz." To quote the experts at Encyclopedia Dramatica, a site that literally has "In Lulz we trust" as its motto. Lulz is engaged in by internet users who have witnessed one major economic/environmental/political disaster too many, and who thus view a state of voluntary, gleeful sociopathy over the world's current apocalyptic state as superior to being continually emo. And honestly, can you blame the trolls for this sort of outlook? The 21st century has been nothing but a giant social experiment in which we all lose. What good is living in a Western liberal democracy when your values are becoming progressively null and void? What good is having access to advanced communication tools when we pay such a grand psychological price for submerging ourselves in them? Why does it seem like the human race has learned very little from its past mistakes despite our apparent advanced existence? Accepting your fate and marching onward with some attitude by your side only seems fair. Staying in constant distress, agony and fear over the state of things holds no merit. It is neither acceptance nor rebellion. Instead, it's a form of withdrawal and regression, at least in the long run. None of this is justification for doing terrible things to people for no reason, but I feel this point is important to make in order to comprehend the troll and his outlook. Today, Lulz has been pushed aside somewhat in terms of internet relevancy with the rise of cringe culture. Unlike trolling, which intentionally probes for reactions and tries to get people to make fools of themselves on purpose, cringe culture focuses more on capturing and sharing instances of people acting in a wince-worthy fashion all on their own. As the internet became increasingly less anonymity focused during the 2010s, this approach seemingly became more and more viable. Why bother with trolling when some people on the internet are such cringeworthy, depraved freaks all by themselves? All that being said, I don't think you can put a gravestone on trollkind just yet. The culture is still a central part of websites such as 4chan, Kiwi Forums, and the aforementioned Encyclopedia Dramatica, among other places. In current mainstream culture, the word troll is basically interchangeable with bully or hater, for some people at least. It has become just another word that lost all or most of its original meaning on the internet, much like cringe, based, and ironic. Trolling is still part of internet culture today and probably always will be, as long as there are lulz to be had. And if somebody ever calls you out for your actions, just stand tall and proud and repeat these words: I did it for the lulz.